everyone, welcome to this week's session and we're talking about glutes. If you don't know what glutes are, they're your buttock muscles. So you have your gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus and your gluteus medius muscles. And we do tend to do a lot of exercises in Pilates and yoga that will work our glutes. Our glutes really focus on stabilising your pelvis and your spine, and they are so important that you work them and make them strong. They can be weak, they can also be tight, so it's about making sure we use them correctly, try and get the balance between the two as well, and that will also help to obviously balance out our alignment, but also again stabilize the pelvis and the spine. And particularly if you have any lower back problems, it could be coming from your glutes, or if it isn't coming from your glutes, then you really need to focus on strengthening your glutes to help protect your lower back from further injuries or pain. So things like, if you've got an anterior pelvic tilt, so that is where people sort of tip the pelvis. So they tip the pelvis forwards, and that means their bottom sort of sticks out more, and they might slightly tip their upper body forwards. And that again will put more strain onto the lower back. So it's also about making sure we align the pelvis so the pelvis is in a neutral position. Similar sort of thing as when we go to a posterior tilt, that's when we sort of tuck under and then we tend to slouch, which I'm probably doing right now. So really, really important that we work our glutes. I will always do exercises in my classes to work on the glutes. You'll notice that you're quite often always doing a bridge, always doing a squat. Clam exercises we do a lot in Pilates. We might do the odd lunges in Pilates. We might do a static lunge in yoga. What else do we tend to do? Single leg deadlifts, which we do in a Pilates class. Again, these are the sort of things that you might also do in any other form of exercise, like a gym session or circuit training session or body pump, whatever. So there are also a lot of those exercises are what we class as compound exercises, where we're using more than just one muscle group. So it's like a combination of muscle groups, which is really important, again, that we do our compound exercises. And also a lot of them are functional exercises, which again is all about just day-to-day living. So we need that functional movement all the time. So I would, really sort of think about when we're doing our yoga classes. The reason why I always get you to do a bridge is because I really want you to focus on strengthening your glutes. If your glutes are not turning on, or you're not quite sure whether you're working them or not, because quite often your quads will take over. So your quads are quite strong, and quite often in squats particularly, your quads will take over your glutes if you're not activating the glutes. If the glutes are weak, again, the quads just naturally take over. So it's being really aware as well of that muscle to mind connection too. So being more aware of that, which is why in Pilates and yoga we tend to slow things down, because then we want to focus more on engaging muscles and making sure they're actually switched on, rather than just rushing the exercise and not really switching on particular muscles that we should be switching on. So what's it going to help? It's going to help better movement, better posture, support your back, support your pelvis, and give you overall longevity, really. So bridge exercises, when you're doing a bridge, whether it's a bridge lift and you're holding, whether it's an up and down bridge, you're moving through it, particularly like we do in Pilates, make sure always that you are switching on your glutes. And I always say to people, please just hold your bottom, or grab a feel of your bottom, because you will notice a difference, because you might feel like you're doing it right, but sometimes you're actually not turning them on. So put your hands on your bottom, check that they're engaged, then you know you're doing it properly. Remember also, we sometimes use a block between the knees for our bridge. A pillow as well can be used, and the reason we do that again is to make sure that we activate the glutes. So just a prime example, often what people will do because again they're not able to see themselves, is they'll come up into a bridge and they'll push out the knees. So yes, your glutes might still be activated, but not enough. So remember that alignment. If you've got a block or pillow, it's almost like you're squeezing it, and the more you squeeze it, the more you'll actually switch these on as well. Make sure your hips are lifted, you're not sagging your hips. Hips will sag if your glutes aren't switched on. So again, really focus on that mind to muscle connection when you're doing your exercises. We do a lot of clam exercises in Pilates, and that's the one where we're usually laying on our side and we lift up one knee. So we keep one leg down and then we lift one knee up and down, and that works primarily our glute medius muscle. Our glute medius muscle is like the side of your bottom. It's this area here. Believe it or not, that muscle is the one we use the most of, because we'll use it to walk, we'll use it to climb stairs, we'll use it to get out of the car. So quite often it can get overused, and it can be quite tight. If you've had massages before in that area, you'll probably find you'll have felt it occasionally. It's not a nice feeling, and it is just more because we overuse it. So if we can switch on the glute maximus muscles more, because they're the ones that probably turn off the most. And if you're doing a lot of sitting in an office, again, you might not be using them very much. And even in a standing job, you still might be not switching them on as well. What else do? We do a single leg deadlift. Deadlifts in general are really good, whether you use weights or not, and lunges. Again, I mentioned squats. So when you're doing your squats, be really mindful again that you're actually switching your glutes on. Slow it down on that movement coming back up, really squeeze them and switch them on. And also even a plank. So when you're in a plank, make sure you plank, you engage in your glutes. And the more you engage your glutes, the better the plank position is as well. Because again, what will happen quite often in a plank is maybe if they're not turning on their abs, then they'll sink into that position. They'll be tightening the glutes but not squeezing them in the correct format. So again, just really think about switching on here first and then switching on your gluteal muscles. So I think I've kind of covered everything. If you want to chat to me about glutes, then feel free. But remember, there is always a reason why I put these exercises in, and glutes are your biggest muscle anyway. They're your biggest, largest muscle of your body. So let's make sure that we're keeping them strong. See you later.